All right, welcome to Cosplay 101. Thank you for your patience as we figured out our technology. So, very happy that you all are here. So I think probably we're going to go through a bunch of questions that we brainstormed that we often have as beginning cosplayers and costumers. So we'll be sort of starting with introductions of who we are, so you know what kind of questions you can pose to us. We'll go through some of our pre-generated questions. If there's time, perhaps we workshop how would we make a particular costume. But we want to make sure there's extra time for you to ask us direct questions. So hold those to the end, but we want to make sure you guys have a chance to talk. So let's start with introductions. Didn't have time to finish these slides before this showed up, but let's start with Knightmage.
Oh, there. Hello everyone, I am Michael Wilson, or Knightmage. I've been cosplaying since 2012. I got into it really just for the love of Halloween. Went to my very first convention at the end of 2013, and as soon as I stepped foot on the show floor, I was like, I'm with my people. I've just been addicted to it ever since. So pretty much now that's my full-time job is cosplaying, my second full-time job. To date, I've done over 360 costumes. I also make costumes for World Wrestling Entertainment, make costumes for a few video game companies, and yeah, I'm kind of a jack of all trades, so I kind of dabble in a little bit of everything, except for 3D printing. That's the only thing I have not gotten into yet. Yeah, that's a little bit about it.
Cool.
I'm so glad we have something he doesn't.
I guess let's just go down. Actually, looks like I'm on here next. So I'm Jenna. I go by Song of Amazon online. I've been cosplaying for about 19 years now. And it was sort of started, I loved Halloween and discovered that you had other reasons to wear costumes. And so I started with Sailor Moon and Utena and other anime, and then I fell into the Star Wars community as a part of costuming for charity, because there's even more opportunities to wear costumes. And so what I really specialize in is a lot of textile work, so I really like sewing and dyeing. I've also gotten a little bit into some basic leather stuff. The stuff that I've been trying, but I'm still not great at, thankful to these guys, is warbler, foam, resin, getting into embroidery and wigs, and I also don't do 3D printing. So I guess next up is Alex.
Hi, I'm Alex, or Blue Element Designs is my tag on Instagram, or to make it easy, you can just call me Bed.
Oh no. Oh no.
I know I wouldn't be the one to break it. Jiggle it, jiggle the cord.
I'm jiggling it. All right, maybe we'll just continue.
Yeah, we'll keep going.
Keep going.
So I started cosplaying in 2007. I'm very old, but I'm just on my turn, kind of like Highlander. But in 2009, I got into a really bad motorcycle accident and lost my vision a bit in my left eye and my right, and I broke my back. And like in 2010, when I was kind of recouping and getting better, I built my first like huge cosplay, and I built like my full Halo Reach Spartan. And I ended up going on to win costume contests with that one, and then I made a Master Chief one and won costumes with that. And over time, it's been something like I just turned into a passion, into a disabled career. So I still do props for people, but I kind of just try to do everything. I have 6 3D printers, which is probably 5 too many. And basically, so I do a lot of 3D printing, EVA foam. Painting is probably the thing I am the best at, because I've pre-done it so many times. And I'm trying to get better with like vacuum forming, and fabric is the one vein still that I really want to get good at. So I'm excited just to listen. Yeah, I know we should. But yeah, that's me.
Yeah, go for it.
I think I'm next. My name is Bridget Landry, and I'm clearly the old fart on this panel. I started costuming in the 70s. I, however, have never made it well, that's not true. I have never made it a full-time business. There was a time when I was making courses for sale, back when goths were first in, and but I I have done it mostly for passion. My #1 science fiction is Star Trek, and particularly the original Trek. I mean, back when you had to catch it on TV because there were no VCRs, so you had to catch the episode you wanted to watch. But I also do a lot of historical costuming because I do historical dancing. So, and then you get the crossover between the two where we did the Strauss-Waltz Assault Team, which was 5 men and 5 women in full Victorian, all done in camouflage. It was brilliant. But I have judge masquerades. I have won masquerades at the local and all the way to the Worldcon level, yeah, I'm mostly textiles. I do knitting and a little bit of dyeing, but mostly standard sewing. So.
All right, and T?
Hi, I'm Cisco. I've been cosplaying for about 17-ish years. I didn't really know what the word was. Probably a little bit longer than my background was broadcasting. I used to do a lot of costumes and things like that nature and prop making. I didn't know it was cosplay at that time. I actually didn't know it was cosplay when I started cosplaying.
Well, when I started, it wasn't cosplay, it was costuming.
But it was a lot of fun because I was just super nerdy kid. Wanted to connect with fandoms. I guess technically speaking, my first cosplay was way back in 1987. I had just seen this show called Doctor Who, and I decided to make myself a Sylvester McCoy like vest because I was like, the kids at school are gonna love this. They did not like this. And then I took a little bit of a hiatus from cosplaying after that. But yeah, I really focused a lot on low and no budget cosplays, upscaling, repurposing, odd shopping. I guess, so it's like, you're like, you gotta check out Joann's, you gotta check out Michael's, or the really racist one that hates gay people. I'm not gonna go to that one. I'm gonna go to Home Depot and like the dollar store,
The thrift store.
thrift stores, like any industrial dumps, like there's all kinds of cool stuff. And then like watching sports, not on purpose, but because there's certain things like, oh, instead of spending X amount of dollars on this like really fancy like bodysuit, I can spend like $3 on like this underlayer suit or whatever. Like, that's my whole thing. You can find me on the internet as, Master Trek the Cosplay Fangirl, but yeah, this is super cool. Fucking Knightmage is on this cast. This is very cool.
All right, so I'm sort of half emceeing this since we don't have slides and it's all a bunch of questions anyway. So I think we kind of all covered how did you first get into cosplay and what attracted you to the art. So maybe let's do what attracted you to your current specialization, be that armor or recycled materials or textiles. Anyone want to give that a go?
Okay, I'll start. I spent 20 years in my 20s, so I was doing cat suits and corsets and stuff. And then menopause hit me like a brick. And so I've been focusing more on channeling my inner crone and doing things that are not as fitted, things that are more appropriate for a 60-year-old woman. There's a saying in Regency, mutton dressed as lamb. And you really don't want to be wearing a dress that's appropriate for a teenager. So that's the news thing that I have been doing is the more mature things, the more flowing sorts of things.
I guess for me, boredom, honestly. It got to a point, honestly, where I was doing so much with just like airbrushing bodysuits and that type of stuff, and just repurposing masks, where I was like, well, I really don't feel like going masks anymore. Let me start makeup. Then, I really don't feel like just buying a bodysuit. Let me start actually sewing my own bodysuit. So just kind of boredom and just wanting to challenge myself. But then it kind of transitioned into purposely trying to inspire others and letting them know that, like, cosplay, there's nothing off limits, you know what I mean? Like, it's literally just your fan art of the character, so there's no reason why you can't be whoever. I mean, Elvira one day, then I'm Superman the next, then I'm Luke Cage the next, you know what I mean? So, like, I just really want to show that like cosplay really is for everyone, and there's no limits.
And you can do multiple things. I've seen a lot of people who they find something that works for them and they go with that, and that's the same, you know, and you can always recognize their costume because it's very similar from one to another. And I like to encourage people to try something different, to do a different silhouette, to do a different fabric that they hadn't worked with before, because there's so much out there.
And I think on that note, that's what I do because I have ADHD. So I just keep trying new things. And it's like, it's taken me a long time to finally like kind of retarded a bit back to where I'm really trying to stay in these same subjects of just getting it the best that I can do, and then kind of testing out new stuff. And I'm just realizing more and more that like airbrushing. To the life of me, I cannot get my airbrushes to like work consistently. But I still use it, and I can still tell, just like even from this stupid meat thing, like using spray paint wouldn't have worked as well as the airbrush. And it's like every skill has its pros and cons, and that's kind of what I've learned over time, where just expanding your knowledge on a lot of subjects is nothing but a good idea, because it just gives you more exposure to good and bad ways to do things.
It's the right tool for the right job.
I live by that moniker, yeah.
But don't feel like you have to learn everything all at once.
Mm-hmm.
That I think for me, I kind of pick one new skill every year or two that, okay, this is something new I'm going to add, but I'm not going to stress about not getting it right the first time, second, third, fourth, fifth time. So, you know. So I guess the next question we wanted to...
I was going to add on real quick.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry. Also though, it's really important to remember that there's no just wrong way to do it. So like you have these cosplayers on panel, you ask us one question, you're going to get 6 different answers, you know what I mean? So don't think about, is this the right way or wrong way to do it? Just worry about what works for you. So like me, sometimes, honestly, hot glue works just as well as thread. I would hot glue some stuff together, because I'm very much a 10-foot rule cosplayer. 10 feet away, I look amazing. In the photos, I look amazing. Do not come up 10 inches expecting stuff, because seams are going to be all over the place, hot glue strands all over. So just kind of know what you're going for, and it doesn't always have to be perfect. You can be a 10-foot rule cosplayer.
I wanted to add to that. We went to see the Catherine the Great exhibit when it came around about 20 years ago. And so this is the woman who was the empress of all the Russias. And she has these gorgeous gowns, but when you look at them, she's got this actual gold bullion trim. And it's just wedged up in the corners. I mean, it's not mitered, it's not cut and sewn. It is just kind of wedged in a couple of tacks as they went on, and it's like, that was so freeing. You know, it's like, if she can do that, totally okay with this.
I mean, on that note, I love the positivity, and I want to just invert a little bit. Like, it's gonna suck. Like, everyone's fans have doing it for years. I can't speak for everyone, but like for me, it's been forever. Like, I had stuff this weekend up until this morning. It sucked. It's terrible. I'm still gonna wear it. Don't tell me these things. But the cool thing is, like, when you embrace that it sucks, it like kind of like gives it even more energy. It becomes more fun that way. Super quick anecdote: if you ever get hung up, as long as you're not cosplaying Deadpool, every hospital is a shitty Deadpool. And I get halfway through a build, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is not coming how I liked it. It's like, oh man, well, I'll just tell people I'm Deadpool. They're like, man, you really missed the mark. I'm like, I know, but I did pretty good for it. They're like, ah. So, in the back of my mind, inverse positivity, no matter what, everything is like, sorry, there's a kid here. Everything's a crappy Deadpool.
That's it, that was over. I can't follow with that.
So I think probably maybe the next question for us to address is, how do you choose a costume? We've got this convention, and how do you choose what you want to make for what's coming up?
I think when you really like a character or like the style, you have to really resist the urge to start making it that minute, and will like it intensely for like 6 weeks and then start making it. I think is the best way, because otherwise you'll like go through it, and then when you finish the new series or the game, and then like your interest kind of piddles off to the next thing. Once again, this is probably just ADHD in me. But you want to, yeah, just basically something that you really like, or if you love the character even, and you love the way they look, just do it.
And I would say on the inverse of that, like when you do find that initial, just chase after it. Don't wait for 6 weeks. Just dive right in and go crazy with it, because especially if the character has a weird turn, you're like, I don't know this character anymore, then you can have fun. You can have this build halfway done. Or, yeah, like that. But even from a more practical, like less humorous standpoint. So my thing is, if I see something, the moment I see it, I'm like, I like that, I'm gonna try that. And that's why I have a workshop that looks like someone grabbed it and shook upside down a couple of times.
You're not the only one.
Like my little Mr. Quill outfit, like I had no idea that the bad Chris was the bad Chris, but I loved the look in the trailer, so I was like, all right, we're doing the new Guardians because it looked like the comics, and then all the stuff came out, and I was like, well, we're still doing the new Guardians, so close. But really, to answer the question, I personally love getting those like kind of side characters, and like a lot of people love the whole like, oh, I want to be surrounded by people asking for photos and selfies at the con. I kind of think the opposite, where it's like that one person's like, oh my God, you're that thing from that one thing that like only 7 people in the world know.
That's really also, I love that. It's worth that one flying leap. It's you!
It becomes almost a game where I'm like, all right, no one here's watched The Prisoner. It's an obscure 60s spy show. And it's like, oh my God, you guys watched The Prisoner, now we're best friends.
Yeah, I think things somewhat comically. We did a set of costumes of characters in pantsuits after the 2016 election. So I have Maleficent in a pantsuit. And I did, after Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, I cosplayed as her. So some of it is timeliness.
For me, a lot of it honestly just comes from suggestions from people. I don't have to have a tie to a character. As long as I think I'm going to have fun making a character, that's all that matters to me. So like, Piccolo from Dragon Ball. I have never watched Dragon Ball. I just haven't. But I made Piccolo, and people love it, blah, blah, just because I thought it was going to be a fun character to make. However, I will say there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing characters you have no attachments to, or that you hate, you just love the design, that's fine. But I always tell people you should probably always go in with a working knowledge of that character. So just like look up some YouTube videos of the character, read a Wikipedia, only because 2 reasons. One, you're going to go to a convention and someone's going to just totally lose their crap over you because they love that character. So you want to have a working knowledge to at least have a conversation with the person. It's going to make them feel good, blah, blah. 2, for pictures. So there's always going to be a different dynamic from, like, take Spider-Man. You're wearing Spider-Man, you get your picture taken, you're just kind of just like that. Versus you're doing some kind of dynamic pose that Spider-Man would do. You're going to see those photos, you're going to appreciate it a lot more. The person taking the photo is going to appreciate it a lot more. So at least just get like again, working knowledge of the character so you can just jump into a pose that the character would do or something like that. Those 2 things.
Who's Spider-Man?
So I have
DC Comics character that just
got a lovely little diagram here that's unfortunately not on here of some questions to consider when you're costuming. So I'm just going to read some of these out for you if you're thinking about what to do. One of the things that we talked about is pick a character you love, but also pick a design you love. You don't have to like the character, like you said. Or a third way I like to do is if you have a group of friends, sit down and say, what should we do together? Do we want to be camo Regency or whatever it is together? And that's a good way to design it. Some things to think about is when and where do you want to wear it? Are you going to want to wear your parka costume in July? How much time do you have to make it? How much resources and money do you have to make it? Is this something, is this a 2-year project that you're just going to work slowly on? Or is it something that you can throw together quickly? How comfy will it be for you to wear? Is that going to be an issue for you?
Go into the bathroom.
And think about how far out of your current skill level is it? Is it something that you're going to need to learn and study, or are you going to make a lot of mistakes on the way? Do you have someone who can help you make it if it's out of your skill level? Are there tutorials or patterns or things that you can find online that can help you close that gap? How expensive are those materials? Is that something you need to budget for and save for? How difficult is it to find the particular materials you're looking for? Are you looking for that one screen accurate cotton that was on TV? Is that going to take you a while to chase it down? Do you have any physical limitations that you need to consider? I've got some friends who have some sensory issues that they don't want to have itchy things on them when they're costuming. I've got folks who need mobility aids. Think about how you can either incorporate that into your costume or make space for that. So those are just kind of some things that I had brainstormed earlier.
I was going to add on real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
So yeah, I would say first thing is think about when this costume is going to be for, but also what is it going to go towards. So if you're making this costume for like an award, like a costume contest you want to enter and so forth, then that's where you're going to put your best foot forward and start thinking about better materials and that type of stuff. If this is a costume that you're literally just going to wear for 6 hours and then throw in your closet for 8 months, do you really want to spend hundreds of dollars and all these hours making it, right?
Yes. But that's also me.
Leave the closet open so you can look at it for those 8 months.
It's so
if this is doing one for charity events, so I do a lot of different charity events, and I usually have kind of 2 different costumes. So I have like one that I wear for charity events, which I know is going to get boogers flown on, kids are going to throw up on it, it's just going to get dirty. I know this, so I'm not going to, use that best costume. So if it's going to be for a charity event, you might want to, dial it back a little for that. There was something else I was going to add on for that. Whatever, I'll come back to it.
I would add on as far as resources, other cosplayers, like when you're at cons, like, again, not to speak for everyone, but usually in my experience, going up to someone and say, oh my God, I love what you're wearing, I like your costume, how did you do X, Y, and Z? They're almost always more than happy to go into vivid, excruciating detail about the process.
We are so vain. Listen, we want to tell you about how we made stuff.
And how clever we were.
Yeah, exactly.
And the techniques, even practice it, hey, I'm wearing a Zinte I got from Amazon for $40, but I really want to take it up a notch next year. What are some cool ways, like I keep hearing about EVA, what is that? Like, 9 out of 10 cosplayers will be more than happy to like sit down and like, yeah, so this is how you do this, and make sure you get yourself a heat gun and like.
Here's some websites.
Exactly. And that 10th cosplayer, they'll do it too, they just have to go to the bathroom, so just wait a few seconds.
Also going back to like the tutorials and stuff, 10 years ago, if you said you wanted to make like a 6-foot Gundam, and you've never made anything, I would say, you might want to just start off a little small. Now, go for it. You guys are so spoiled. So you can get your doctorate on YouTube, man. Like, it's terrible. So seriously, like, the sky's the limit for whatever you want to do. Again, it's just utilizing resources. There's tutorials out there, there's other cosplayers out there willing to help you. Literally anything you want to do right now, you can do it. It might just take a little bit more time, but it's there.
I did want to mention one more thing about practical consideration, and that's interacting with other people. If you're wearing wings in the hallways, they should be small and non-lethal.
You don't get any points that way.
If you've got some serious badass steampunk wings that extend for 3 feet on either side of you, that is awesome, but take it to the stage. Trains. Modern people do not know how to deal with trains. They will step on it, and you have to develop this sense of, there is somebody on my train, I need to stop walking right this second. Hoops. They are very squishable, but when you do that, you're going to show off your underwear. So make sure it's period. Just of the people around you and how you can impact them in a negative way, and consider taking that to the stage if it's going to be harmful.
So we're halfway through our time. I'm going to speed us up on our questions just a little bit. But one comment I wanted to touch on here is sometimes I often see on the internet is, what if I am too old, too young, too tall, too short, too whatever, to be this character? What should I do? Do it anyway. There's a couple of caveats. However, racist makeup, like blackface and yellowface, are never okay. So be careful with that, because that is another way you can harm other people. Similarly, it's not a good time to dress up as, we know there's a lot of villains in Marvel, for example, that are Nazis. It's not a good time to dress up as a Nazi at a convention right now. Things like that. Consider harming other people. And also, sometimes costumes just might not be for you if it involves cultural appropriation. If you think about being, if I were to dress up as Disney's Pocahontas as a non-native person, and that movie itself is somewhat problematic. So think about, do take some care of other people when you're thinking about what you're designing. But on the other hand, outside of that realm, if you want to do a costume, do the costume. So one of the things that we talked a little bit about before this started is how you find resources. So let's talk about how you find patterns and tutorials for a prop or a costume that you want to make. Does anyone want to take that one?
For patterns, you have to be able to kind of look at it with a different focus. I was making the Connie coat from this year's poster. I'm going to be wearing that tomorrow. And I originally bought the Australian drover's coat to use as a base. And as I'm starting to do the muslin for it, I realized it's much too loose.
Explain what a muslin is.
Oh, I'm sorry. If you try, if you're using a new pattern, it's a very good idea to try it in cheap fabric first. The cheap fabric should be similar in hand, which is how it flows and the thickness and stretchiness versus non-stretchiness, to what you're going to use. But you need to be able to make mistakes on it. So you make the pattern in that cheap fabric so you can draw in it, or you can cut it, or you can seam it, or you can baste things onto it, or whatever, to alter the pattern to what you are looking for. So I started making this muslin, and it's much too loose. The Connie coat is very fitted. It's almost corseted. And I realized that was the wrong thing. And I ended up using a pattern from the 90s for a business suit. And it really needed very little alteration. I mean, it needed to be taken in certain places, but the basic bones of it were there. And so you need to be able to look at the pattern and see what the lines are and how close they are to what you're looking for.
And then I would just say, I mean, you can Google right away and you can just do pattern, or like foam pattern a lot works. And most of the time now, all you get is the ones that are on sale on Etsy. But you can look at those images and get an idea. And then like the quick way to do it is saran wrap and then duct tape. And just use a Sharpie on yourself. And then cut it off, and then you have at least the beginning of a template that fits you. And that's a good way to always get it started. And then if you,
There's a bunch of tutorials online if you want to try that.
Yeah, there's a lot of pattern tutorials. I always tell people, invest in a duct tape dummy of yourself. Mannequins are very expensive. Duct tape dummies are inexpensive and they're fun to do. All you're going to do is just go to like Walmart, get some pajamas, long sleeve, kind of close fitting, get like 10, 15 rolls of duct tape, like good duct tape, not like the Dollar General kind. Go get a friend that you really trust, and then just basically have them duct tape you from your legs all the way up. Try not to do one big piece because it's going to be really hard to get out of. But once you're duct taped in, they're just going to cut you out down the seam. You'll slide out, seal that seam back up, and you can fill it with packing peanuts. You can fill it with garbage bags. You can fill it with expanding foam. You could make a skeleton out of PVC pipe, but now you have a mannequin that's your body size.
And shape.
And shape. So a lot of times I put my bodysuit on there and airbrush the muscle definition. Not that I need to do that, but anyway. But now it's straight to me, so if someone else was to put it on, it's not going to sit right. Because you can use it for artwork patterns, for dress patterns, for clothes, and it's cheap. It's awesome.
Another technique that's super, super cheap, because I love spending no money when possible, is if you have clothes that you don't give a care about, you spend 75 cents at Dollar General or Walgreens, and you get a seam ripper, and you take that apart. It takes a long time, it's very time consuming, but if you have an old t-shirt, just pull the seams of that t-shirt, and then trace around it. And now you have a pattern for what you like already know fits. If you don't have t-shirts, because all your clothes are just so priceless, and like you have all these sentimental connections to them, then go to their store, or like, you know, spend the night at a friend's house and then something goes missing. And the other thing too, for like practice fabric, like if you go to Target or anywhere, but the throw blankets that are like $5, you get like a 10 by 10. It's great fabric. Tablecloths at Party City, sheets. You get tons and tons of yardage. If you start at Michael's or Joann's, like the sticker shot is for me. It was like, oh, I'm 6 feet 2 inches tall. I am a lot of inches around. I want 50 yards of fabric. And they're like, it costs this much. It's like, I want 5 yards of fabric.
So on that note, for when we're doing fabric things, how do you choose the best fabric and where do you find it?
I cheat. I live in the garment district in LA, so I mean, I can go down there on my lunch hour, and I've been going there for years, so I know which stores have, you know, this store has a lot of good stretch fabrics, this store has a lot of good satins, this store has a lot of really weird fabrics that I might need for science fiction costumes. And you have to keep going down. It's like thrift store, you have to go, you never know what you're gonna find. But I've also started buying a lot more stuff online. And Spoonflower, oh my God, is such a...
What is Spoonflower?
Spoonflower is a website where you can upload an image and have it printed onto fabric. And not just fabric, you can have it on satin, you can have it on stretch fabric, you can have it on non-stretch fabric. I mean, it's just dangerous. But that's very useful if what you're doing is a recreation. If you need a very specific fabric, that is one way to get the look. Can't necessarily, I've been looking for 6 years now, no, 10 years now, for a specific brocade for a gender bent Willy Wonka. And I have still not found it, but I may be able to upload a picture and get it to look like that. It won't be a bouquet, but...
If you're willing to invest the time, sometimes fabrics can get really spendy when you're like on the internet even. So, you know, in superhero movies for the last 25 years, they've all had this weird, like the basketball nipple texture. It's a nipple, right? Okay. It's really, like, they make that fabric, and it's kind of pricey. But, again, if you have a lot of free time, puff paint, and seriously, a lot of free time, you just stretch that suit out and go over like a normal suit, and you can actually like create the basketball nipple. I just like saying that now. You can create that texture, and it does look really good. It's super cheap. It's just, again, the cost there would just be time.
Yeah, that's the thing, is you're trading time for money, and you know, if you have one, then that's what you go with. And
so then perhaps the next question is, for non-fabric costuming, where do you find your prop making and armor making materials for folks who do that?
So for foam, right away, if there's a Harbor Freight anywhere near you, you can get a 4-pack of floor mats for like $10.
nice.
And they are an awesome starting place until you start to get like the nicer foam that they sell, and then you end up spending a lot more. But like those floor mats work really well, and that's a great place to start. You want like a utility knife that you can sharpen or have extra blades because it dulls foam really quickly. That's like my quick go on that.
I'm with you. Harbor Freight, I live there. CosplaySupplies.com. A lot of times, I mean, honestly, I like to just support my friends, so I order a lot of stuff from SKS Props, Steve Smith, and yeah. But yeah, mainly Harbor Freight for stuff. But also just do a lot of shopping at like Dollar General, Dollar Tree, and I would say shop for shapes. Shop for shapes of things that you need. You can always recut something, repaint something, and modify this spaghetti strainer to make it something else, you know? So always just shop for shapes, and yeah.
Yeah, I'm that person that's in Lowe's putting things on my head.
Oh, I would also say like not big box stores, but single topic subject focus stores like Dick's Sporting Goods. Always sell sporting goods, but their clearance section is full of stuff. The same thing with like it's called Farm Fleet. I don't think the suburbs too often.
Fleet Farm.
Fleet Farm. Big app. They have really big bags of gummy bears, but that's not why you're going there. They also have a lot of like workwear and things like that. Costco, like there's all these like really, like just funky stuff that you can't find anything else. And if you are in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, yay. There's this groovy place on the wrong side of the river in St. Paul called Axeman.
It smells really everything you could never want. So I think before we shift to workshopping, how would we approach a certain costume as a team? I want to run down the line and everyone tell me your favorite tool that you can't live without for your costuming.
So, micrometer. I have a super duper mount on your bench and to put grommets in. When I was making corsets, it was just like, instead of sitting there trying, oh crap, and you gotta pump it out because it got bent. This is just one and done, and oh my god, best $150 I ever spent.
For me, I would say paint, airbrush. To me, like, painting is like the Photoshop After Effects. Like, literally can cover up any kind of blemishes, anything like that. So I always say just like focus more on your painting if you know if the craftsmanship is not there yet or something. But yeah, so paint.
I'd say my wife. Because there's just some stuff. She is here. She's right there in that little brown cave. Because there's just stuff in my vision that I just flat out can't do. Like soldering. I tried so hard to learn how to solder. I can't do it. She's an expert now. It's crazy. So I know that I wouldn't be able to achieve most of my stuff without her just like pitching in when I really need it. So.
Yes. Loctite gel. Loctite gel super glue. Because I was like, well, there's one for like costume props, there's one for like costume thing. But no, Loctite, the gel super glue, it's very, very strong. Just as strong, almost as strong as contact cement, but without the fumes. You don't need to wear a respirator. It has a little applicator. Like I'm glued into most of this suit right now. But it works on EVA. You can glue fabric to EVA. You can glue like big chunks. I use it for some helmets they'll be wearing later. It's really, really versatile. And then a girl and a heat gun.
Have you tried the BSI Insecure stuff? That a lot of